Okay. We are painting today. Our bots have assembled. All right. So we've got two guys that we're going to be working on. I'm not sure who we're going to get to first. We might have to work on them in tandem. Alright, give me 1 second, you guys. Alright, I might have to do them like kind of in tandem maybe, I don't know. We'll have to see. Because I have to mix colors. But I guess we'll start with this guy first. Undo my anchor. What paintbrush do we want today? This is going to require a couple different brushes, I think. I do have a fondness for this one, so I guess we'll start with this guy. So, this guy's like kind of a citrusy slice. So I was thinking, you know, why not just go ahead and make it a lime or something lime-ish. Gotta clean my palette, or at least this palette. That is glumpy. Come on. Alright, well. Yay. Okay, so that was a Christmas green. Wow, all this paint's getting glumpy. Because it's old as fuck. Okay. So, I'm gonna kind of make like a lime greeny color, like an outside of a lime. So if we kind of go with like a key lime, they're a little more yellow. So we're just gonna mix a little bit of this macaroni yellow into our Christmas green. Just gonna kind of work that together. I do have a lime color, but that felt like more inside of lime than outside of lime, so alright. And Okay, so the cats weren't total assholes. They didn't make off with all of my stuff. Sometimes they like to make off with my sponges. Sometimes. This is just sea sponge, natural sponge. I have a ton of it. So I'm going to get it damp so we can make it pliable. So it'll be more willing to bend and move and stuff. So we're going to get painty fingers today. That's just the way it's going to be. That's a nice color. I'm just getting the extra paint out of our brush here. Nothing goes to waste if we can help it. Because I'm going to have to replace some of my paints at some point. And I have to switch brands because the brand I was using, the store bought the company. And I think they repackaged it under their own house label, is what I think happened. Because that paint doesn't seem to exist anymore, and there's a new paint with the store's house brand. Kinda everywhere. You know what? I think I like it better with just a straight painting it. Sometimes I like to do the sponges, but like if we had done the darker green base color on it, maybe it would look a little bit better. That's okay, we're allowed to change our minds. %. Excuse me. Oh, thank you. I'm definitely gonna have to mix more of this. That's definitely not enough. This is the back of our citrus slice birdhouse that we are working on first. All right. But I will say it is kind of interesting that it looks like we're pulling some of the paint back off. In the areas that it is still wet. I mean, we're just using basic craft paint. Use whatever. Ever you want. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna have to mix a lot more. Just wanted to get that glumpy bit out of there. We don't need the glumpy bit. No, we don't. All right. Oh, that's a different shade of green, isn't it? It was a much more yellow. Well, that happens sometimes. You alright?
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't sure if you're trying to get my attention.
No. Sorry. Clearing my throat. Getting wiggles. Because I'm being tapped. Huh?
Come on, Zuzu, let's go potty. Alright. Now it's probably looking like we're pulling some of the paint back off as it's starting to dry, because we do have that gesso down. Okay. So I did gesso these, and It's just acrylic primer. You can use it on just about anything. Because this wood is very, very, very thirsty. Like, in the desert for days on end. No water. Thirsty. So, it's just easier to deal with doing the gesso on it. So while that bit starts to dry, get some more color mixed up here. These wells aren't very deep, so I'm not a huge fan of this palette. I mean, it's okay. But I probably would have been better off using one of our plates today. Alright, so I mean, you can see that's drying. The shiny parts are where it's still wet. Now, if you have a surface that you don't want to get paint on, I do highly suggest that you cover your surface with something that can get paint on it, like a piece of parchment. Some people use puppy pads, like the puppy potty training pads on their art surfaces. This is contact paper, this pattern, and so far anything I've gotten on there is either scratched off pretty good or is just wiped off. So we are pretty okay there. Now I'm not sure if this is all gonna wipe off as I'm putting it down, because I am rolling it on the desk here. And we're getting some of it on there. I don't know how much is remaining. Hopefully some of it is. So everybody's got their Saturday in full swing. And that your day is going relatively well. That's not so bad. Alright. So we're working on the back piece of this right now. So us gessoing or priming this also means we don't have to put as many coats of paint on. I've tried to do these without doing any sort of base primer or gesso or anything, and like 15 coats of white craft paint before it even looked white, because it was just soaking in. So you know, just something to think about. This is one coat of gesso. Now my gesso is getting a bit old, so it's a lot thicker than it was when I first opened it. So if it's like brand new gesso, maybe 2 coats. That's really gonna depend on you though, and what you want happen in there. Ugh, Allergy City. I'm tired of this. One more little section here for the back piece. So these sections aren't too bad, like not time-wise. We're just kind of filling in that. I'm not really worried about any detail or anything in there. This guy is gonna roll around. He is round. Excuse me. Alright, so we'll get this kind of popped into here. I mean, you can go as detailed or basic as you want. I'm not sure how detailed yet we're gonna go on the front, or if we're just gonna leave this guy kind of basic. Don't know yet. Alright, let's get some more color mixed up here. I've got so much to do around this house tonight. I don't know if I'm gonna get too much editing. I have to shampoo a rug. Okay, well I don't have to, but I really should. I've been putting it off. Kept saying I was gonna do it, and then shit kept happening and I just didn't get to it, but I really do need to do it. Gotta get dishes done. Probably do dishes before I shampoo the rug. Alright. I never can get the same exact shade mixed twice, it seems. But that's okay. we'll just kind of feather that in, blend it into the other side. So it'll be alright. You'll see variations in the color of citrus anyhow, depending on what side you got more sun and what have you. Might as well get this section in here. Right? We're here, we might as well. Try to just get this lip here as gently as we can, because I have a pretty big brush here, all things considered. I don't want to bleed onto the front too much yet, if we can help it. Okay, that's not too bad there. Alright. So, if I could keep my hands out of it, that would be even better. So this is one of the sides. Again, we don't have stream avatars going today because sometimes we edit the art videos down to speed paints. Not all the time, but sometimes. And it won't do to have the little guys bouncing all over. Uh-oh. The phone! It rings! Who was it?
Mary.
Did my mom even answer it? She's usually asleep this time of day. All right. I'm gonna have to mix some more paint here in just a minute. There. So we'll get our edges all touched up in there. Now again, this is the side, so it'll probably be a little bit visible, but we're gonna do the front of this guy last. If I could keep our palette from sliding all over, that would be super helpful. I mean, I guess I could fun tack it. if it really becomes an issue. It's one bonus of the plates. They don't tend to slide around on you. Alright, so we're going to see if we can gently get this edge painted without totally painting the front of it yet. So we're working our way to the front. We're getting there. Now this one has just like a jute twine hangy rope thing. Alright, that's pretty good. We got a little on the front there, but that's in the section that's going to be the shade anyway, so that's fine. Alright. Let's get a little bit more of our color mixed up here. So this particular bottle is very old, so it's a little extra gloopy, glompy. And that's okay. We can still use it. Just means we have to deal with some of the glompy bits. Sounds like someone's cutting their grass. Might be our neighbor. Which means ours is going to look extra bad. We're still being forecasted for severe weather on Monday. So that's not good. So we're just mixing our green shade here. Alright, so this is a mixture of like a Christmas green and a yellow. And we are painting this guy to look like a lime. So he has a citrus slice, so we're gonna do limes. 'Cause why not? Might as well. We're kind of doing maybe a slightly key limey color, or a cross between a lime and a key lime. Something like that. And at the moment we are just using basic craft paint. The majority of the paint that I have, and that's fine. I like the flow on this stuff better than like the artist tubes. Sometimes those are just too thick. For my liking. Alright, I'm just gonna try to get into that seam there. There's a little bit of light trying to peek through. But if all you have is like the tube paint, then that's what you have. Or paint markers, you know, whatever. Yeah, it's not a bad green. Hey, boss. Like, I have a lime shade, but it's a lot more yellow than this. So I figured we would save that for like the inside pieces. Okay. So I'm not too worried if like the sides or the back or the bottom are a little bit streaky, like whatever. That's fine. Sides gives it a little bit extra character, I think. And I don't think our bird friends are gonna mind all that much. If this one ends up outside. I don't know if it's going to yet. So I'm just trying to get the edge here. And I'm trying to be careful with this edge. More careful than I was with the back edge, because the back edge was kind of like, ah, whatever. But there's a detail on the front that I'm trying not to lose. So I want to be a little bit more careful here. My hands were covered in gesso by the time I was done priming these last night. I've gotten a little bit of paint on here, but that's okay. I have more contact paper if this has to get replaced, but I'm not worried about a little bit of paint on there. See, that's fine. We're not going to sweat that. See, that's why I put the contact paper down to begin with. Doesn't matter. It's all good. So you might hear the lawnmower in the background. We do have the window open. Sorry. Oh, come on, Glumpy bit. This is gonna get messy here. Come on. Come on. You're gonna be that difficult? Really? Alright. I'd been storing these upside down. So I'm like, oh yeah, the paint will like be down near the top of the bottle, it'll be good. And then I'm like, oh right, all the glumpy stuff went to that direction as well. I mean, we could have just used the straight Christmas green, but that was kind of too green, I think, for this. So I'm gonna just kind of roll with this shade. I need a little bit more though. Alright, a little bit more yellow. And then we might be in business here. We'll see. So how are you today, Buzz? Hopefully all is well in Bosville. I'm glad that we gessoed these though, because this would have been a lot of layers of paint. For sure. Glad work is done, mental. There. Jeez. Plus the truck got canceled, so it was 8 hours of busy work. Oh god. That's the worst. Especially when like most of the busy work's already done. Is that you? What is that?
I don't know, something outside.
Okay. It was an odd tempo to be a hammer. It almost sounded like somebody shooting slowly. That was weird. Exactly. I did almost a full shift of setting sales planners and end caps. Oh, that's not so bad though. Providing you can get the fixtures. Planograms aren't too bad. I actually liked doing that. Providing I had the product and could space it. Okay, well, I liked doing that for kids' crafts. Let me rephrase that. Doing it for seasonal would have been a fucking nightmare. I had to, we didn't have pegboards show at all at the craft store. So we had to go and pull rolls of like the kids' easel white paper. Like we actually would order in extra of it. There was a specific one that was ordered. And we had to get double-sided tape and put tape on the back of the pegboard. And then, do I want to do it with this brush? And tape the white paper over the pegboard. And then we had to have somebody from the classroom, our either our classroom coordinator or the lady that did the display boards for the store over all of, well, not all of the product, but most of the products, would come and pick seasonal colors or whatever paint scheme worked for that area, and would sponge the white paper I had to do that a few times. Sometimes we would do it ourselves if classroom was busy, or a lot of the times the managers on the weekend when I was doing back office and had to do on the weekend shifts, they would pull me off register if it was slow enough, and they're like, hey, I need you to paper and sponge this. Because they knew I knew how to do it. And I'm like, alright, this beats register. I'm fine with that. Cool beans, yo. I got you. Now, trying to get the hooks in through the paper and in the right position, that was kind of a pain in the ass. and I never had to set seasonal. Stuff in my section wasn't so bad. Although I will say I absolutely hated the safari animal display with a fucking passion, because our store manager didn't like how messy the displays were, and the displays didn't have dividers in them, so you couldn't like do rows of nicely standing animals. And every time we straightened it, 10 minutes later, kids would come by and be ripping all the animals out and putting them on the floor and playing with them. I did a deep clean of that thing, reset it entirely. We got mounting tape and our shelf dividers, and we're like adhesiving them into there. And the whole time I'm doing it, I'm thinking, this is going to be a nightmare when we have to reset this thing. And I'm like, well, that's a problem for another person or another me in a different time. And so deep clean that whole thing. Took me almost my entire shift that day around the other shit that I had to do, because it was a slow day or something, or we had extra cashiers up front for some reason. And finished it. Went to go get our Telzons so that I could order what was missing, what didn't come in. And in the span of 5 minutes that I walked away, these two goblins came along, had 2 of every animal pulled out on the floor. I walked back out of the office and froze looking down the main aisle where they had them all pulled out in front of the display, and the lady that merchandised the department next to me stopped, looked at me, looked at that, because she had been watching me do it all day, and she's like, oh no, Nee. And I was just like, oh my god. She's like, breathe, Nee, breathe. I was like, I guess the look on my face was fucking murderous. I was like, oh my god. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Yeah, because we had this freestanding plastic acrylic stand that had like holes on 2 sides, and then there was a front bin that covered the one side that didn't have holes in it, that had all these little individual bins for like the baby animals. But like the manager's like, yeah, I want them to look pretty, I want them to stand up, I just don't want them thrown in there, we have to know what we need. And I'm like, do you understand what you're asking? Because I don't think you understand what you're asking. Have you ever straightened this before? I'm like, you sure? Because this is going to take a while. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay. Yeah. I'm like, uh-huh. Sure. And we had thought about using Velcro instead of the mounting tape, but then I'm like, the kids are just gonna rip them out, right? They're gonna lose their grippy, they're gonna fall over. Like, the Velcro, while easier to remove, is easier to remove. So it's like, okay. Those fuckers weren't cheap either. Some of those animals, we had a woolly mammoth that could give you a concussion if somebody threw it at you, even though it was plastic. That fucker was heavy. He was like $25. I was like, oh my god. I'm like, no one in their right mind is going to pay this. I wouldn't pay that. Unless my kid had like an obsession with woolly mammoths. Oh no. The only things that really sold were the baby animals anyway, because those were like $2 to $3 a piece. I'm like, why do we even have all these adult animals? They're hardly selling to begin with. The mixed tubes sold better, because for like $6-10, whatever they were going for at the time, you got a whole bunch of little baby guys. Those sold a lot for like the dioramas for the kids projects. So those weren't so bad. Yeah, those were, especially with the 40 off coupons when those weren't on sale. Yeah, it always ends up being a me problem. Like, I'm like, well, you know, maybe we won't have to revisit this again. Yep, nope, wrong. So wrong. Alright, so I need... Is it white? I feel like it's a light yellowy white. And you guys have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about, so I'm just talking to myself now. Talking colors here. This palette is such a mess. I really should have cleaned it last night. But, I still love. I just don't have time to do them. The fuzzy posters, love them. The black fuzzy poster guys. That if you use the right kind of markers, they're like, they can be black light reactive. I love them fuckers. The only problem was if you didn't color in the lines perfectly and you got the velvet, if you got marker on the velvet, it would stain your hand. So like the whole side of my hand would be like black by the time I was done. I love them fucking things. Used to get those as gifts. Yeah, I love them. You know what? Maybe one stream on a Saturday, since we just kind of dick around on Saturday and have some fun. Maybe I can see about picking up a couple of those. I don't know if I can get them locally. I will have to look. I'm not sure. Alright, I don't know if this is enough. It might not be. In which case, if it's not, we'll just have to mix some more. But this is where we have to start. Being a little bit more tidy. This would probably work better with paint markers, but I don't have any. At this point in time. Oh yeah, we're gonna have to mix some more of this guy. Now, if we don't finish both of these today, we'll finish them next week. So don't worry about that. If I don't get to the trailer today, we will get to it. We will do it. So no, I'm gonna have to look into those. I haven't done one of those in forever. And I would kind of like to do one. That's kind of visible. So there's like little tiny shapes cut in to this guy. Because I am just doing a horrible job of staying in the lines. That's why I like the fuzzy posters, they're forgiving. They're very forgiving. I have to get some markers though. I think I might have some markers, but I don't know. Actually, I don't know if I still have those. Well, markers aren't too expensive. So that shouldn't be so bad. Even if just like a pack of Crayola markers, it should be fine. That'll be more than sufficient. I mean, they usually come with a couple of markers. But sometimes you want to paint it a different color, or paint it. You want to color it a different color than what they give you. I've tried doing colored pencil on them and it's just not the same. It's not as vibrant. I think the ones you got came with, yeah, some of them, no, the color makes it glossy looking. Yeah, like, just, it looks so dulled down with colored pencil. It says you can use colored pencil on them, but it's just not the same. It doesn't pop. Like it does with the markers. So we ordered them from, it's probably the same company that you got them from. Although I don't know, RoseArt did some for a while. We had ones from Western Graphics company out in Oregon. I think it was Oregon. It's either Oregon or Washington State. Let me tell you, I love the posters. I don't even know if that company's still in business, to be perfectly honest. The slowest shippers ever. We'd have like holes for a couple of weeks and manager's like, where's the thing? I'm like, company's out of it. What do you want me to do? They take like 2 weeks to ship. Do you want to put something else there? Because then if the buyer comes in, they're going to want to know why that item's not in the planogram. But at the same time, the buyer ought to know if they're out of stock. What do you want me to do? I'm not going to double fill the shit out of something for an order that's supposed to show up tomorrow. They have them on Amazon. You had to check. It looks like the most you're seeing so far are much smaller. Definitely not the poster size. And the last time you did one, your grandparents would have found it in a store. No internet. Yeah. Might have been RoseArt. I know RoseArt did some at one point. We had 2 sizes. We had 11 by 14 and 16 by 20. I wonder if Michael's has any. They might. It's possible. So those were fabulous rainy day activities. They still might sell them in places like Spencer's and stuff. I think Spencer's is still around. Not certain though. There are larger ones you found with an octopus. Oh, that sounds like fun. Yeah, we'll have to do that one stream now. I am on the last video of the Chungus edit. Yay! And I think I'm about 15 minutes in on it. Didn't get as far as I wanted to last night, unfortunately, but not sure why. I think I was just having a focusing problem last night. I know I tried to listen to like 2 different podcasts and ended up turning them off because I'm like, I'm not even actually listening to you. At this point, you're just blah 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 do 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 blah blah blah, and I'm like catching only bits and pieces of it. I was like, wait, what did you just say? And then I just didn't feel like restarting it, so I'm like, yeah, I'll come back to you later. Get out of there. Little fuzzy guy. So we're not doing too bad. I am going to have to mix a little bit more of this, but that's okay. We don't need as much as we did on the other one. They'd be colored already though, the ones in Spencer's. Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess so. There used to be this store when malls were still a prevalent thing. Called Calypso at our local mall in South Jersey. I don't know if they were a chain thing or not. I don't think they were. They had all kinds of like weird shit, and that's the only way I can describe it. It wasn't exactly like Spencer's, but almost like a hippie version of Spencer's. They would have like the new age CD rack where you could like preview different CDs like of whale songs or Native American flutes or, you know, that kind of shit. And they had incense. I think they had those rain sticks. They had a section with the fuzzy posters that you could buy and color. And then they had the large ones that didn't have the fuzz but had the black, like super big. I had one of those super big ones that I never finished. I feel bad that I never finished it. But it wasn't the same without the fuzz, right? So, or it was just, because that one was so big it was on paper because it came in a roll. Like in a tube. There was one that you knew, alternate reality. Oh, I didn't. That must have been fun. They had like some like wispy skirts and stuff, and What else did they have in there? They had like different like artwork for your walls and like figurines of like dolphins and whales, and they had a table I was absolutely in love with that I wanted so bad, but I was not old enough to spend money to get it, and it was expensive as shit. That was like a glass coffee table kind of thing, and underneath the glass, because you could see through it, like the base of it were these two dolphins that were supporting it, and but the way the table was set up, it made it look like they were underwater. I wanted that thing so bad, and when the store was having their out of business sale, I still couldn't afford the table. They had marked it down, and I'm like, damn it. And I'm like, how the fuck would I get this home? Because I took the bus there. I'm like, I'll never get it home. Nor did I have anywhere to put it, but I wanted it. It was family owned. It had a lot of the same kind of stuff, plus melee weapons, D&D books, and books. It was a wild place. Sounds like it. Wow, that's quite the array of merchandise there. There's one bookstore. I'm gonna call it a bookstore. In Fayetteville. That has D&D books. They might do comics. They have dice. Huh? Realms?
Oh, I forgot they were still around.
They're still around, right?
Last I heard, but... Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine.
I was wondering what the hell you were talking about.
Called Realms Anime. Now I'm not sure they're still there. They might be. They would have, like, game nights. They had table space where you could run a D&D game there during business hours. I mean, it was out in the open, so like other people could watch. It wasn't like private booths. We had talked about one of our other fantasy business ideas that will probably never come to fruition. Because, you know, we just don't have the money to do it, but we would love to do it if it was possible. And I don't want to take out a business loan for that, because we still have to pay it back, and I don't...
We could get a business loan if we wanted to.
Yeah, I doubt we would get the loan. Would be like a D&D type store. With cordoned off, like, plexiglass or clear glass rooms so we could see in to make sure people weren't destroying the place. Like little tiny conference rooms where they could host their own D&D games privately and have like some books and dice and maybe a console area where people can come in for a certain amount of money, play for a couple of hours.
Let's not try that one. That wouldn't work.
But probably not. But you know, just a place for like people and kids to hang out. But the area that we're in, don't know how well that would go over. Because depending on certain people in the area, like Dungeons and Dragons is not the thing.
It doesn't seem to be that bad anymore.
It was at one point, though.
Well, yes. When I first moved down here 20 fucking years ago, yeah, it was. Nowadays, not so much.
But my other idea was an art store for pottery, like a paint your pottery place, and they fire it. I think that would work in this town. Because there isn't one in this town. There's some place that kind of is an art painting lesson place, but I've never seen them open. That supposedly does like painting parties and shit. Never seen the place open. Alright, so we kind of have like our pithy colors in there. But I think that would be a good thing because, you know, families could do it. Have whatever pieces that you want to paint, and then have the glazy things. The back room for people to do D&D, and you can get paid to be a DM there too. Huh. Interesting. But I would love to do the little painty thingies. I don't know dick about potteries. Ow! That was a burp that tried to happen that didn't happen. Ugh. That hurt. Like my stomach like clenched and pulled down, and then the burp didn't happen. Like, what the fuck, body? That's not how we do this. But, I don't know dick about pottery, so it would be a learning experience. But I've always wanted to do one of those. They do sign-ups for different campaigns and kind of rotate. Interesting. That sounds neat. Oh. What's happening there? Is there a fuzz in there? Or am I seeing things? I see that one of my bristles is being fussy. Maybe that's what I'm seeing. So this is the lime color itself, so it's definitely more of the fleshy lime color. Than the skin lime color that I have. So that's why we mixed that other color. Alright. We have to be a little bit mindful of our brush strokes in here, just so they don't get too out of control and get too messy. You never participated, but it was a big deal. Once or twice a week, people would all hang out and paint miniatures too. Oh, that sounds cool. Russell dabbled in the miniature painting for a while, but then he kind of lost his drive to do it when he didn't have any in-person games, really. And they are a little expensive. So for a while he would just like fuck around and repainting the same couple that he had. I do know, I think next month we might try the new Italian place that just opened right down the street from us. People are still saying that it's good, and they've been open, I think, a good week now. And the parking lot has been packed. Like, every day. Which I did find fascinating. Gotta get our edgies. Now the inside obviously isn't gessoed here. Just the edgy guys. But people have been saying it's good. Now I don't necessarily trust people's opinions on good Italian food around here after what they consider good pizza. But we'll give it a shot. Get like a pizza, see if we can get it to go. If we can't, we'll just eat it there. So we'll see. I've done them here and there, but yeah, it's pricey as hell, and you have a Cthulhu game that you want to paint the minis for, though, and yeah, we'll get the chance. We were thinking about trying it sooner, but we kind of wanted to give them a little bit to get sorted. They kind of surprised opened. They had put a sign out saying they were hiring, and then like the next day they were open, and I was like, oh, do you guys even have help? Like, did you even hire anybody yet? Like, what on earth? It was very quick. Okay, so now I'm going to take a little bit of this light yellow. And we'll just kind of lightly see if we can get this kind of worked in here. It's probably not really coming up on camera. Could have had ads online, or maybe it's mostly family run. It might be mostly family. I know some people, I think, said that it was a little slow to get the food first day, but they were super slammed. And, you know, understandable getting everything sorted. Like, they only just have the minimum on their Facebook page. Like, they didn't even have their phone number up yet on their Facebook page. People have been passing it around amongst each other. But we don't know if they do to-go orders, though. That's the one thing we don't know. Alright, this might be a mistake, but we're gonna see how it looks on the first piece here. I might hate this. That's not so bad. That's not so bad. Plus, a little slow can be subjective too. Yeah, like, I don't know what they're considering slow. Alright, I'm gonna rinse this guy. I'm not done with him, I'm just rinsing the buildup in him. That way we don't get any weird paint drying happening. Okay. Yeah, it looks a little limey, so see how we go here. See how the other ones play out here. So far, so good. Yeah, I've got paint palettes I need to clean up. I need to clean up my gouache palette. I need to clean up this palette. Oh, I didn't show you guys what I got from Michael's. So, they sent me the wrong pens, right? So I was kind of pissed about it. So I was like, I didn't order this. I ordered the 2-pack of white pens. I was supposed to have 4 pens. Or maybe it was a single pen and I was going to have 2. I couldn't remember, but it was supposed to be a single, it was supposed to be just a white pen. And I tried to look up the order number or something. Well, maybe the order number changed. No. It was a completely different item. However, the reviews were really shitty, apparently, on the pen that I grabbed, and I didn't think to look at it. Where people were saying the tip was missing, the ink leaked everywhere, it didn't work, and I'm like, oh, okay. And, it's still available on the website. It's not saying it's out of stock. I think somebody just grabbed the wrong thing. And, what they sent me, now what I purchased was a $3.99, 2 $3.99 pens. They sent me 2 packs of a silver, a gold, and a white. The original price was $10.99, and I was like, okay. That's weird. Because I hadn't thought to check the price difference until the other night, and I was like, I think somebody done fucked up. But can't do anything about it now. Yeah, I was like, oh, well, okay. We have pens, I guess. I haven't tried them yet, so I don't know how they're gonna go. Some people said these would skip sometimes. They're gel pens. I mean, are these people reviewing these that aren't used to dealing with gel pens. Like, I'm used to the old school gel pens where you bought like the pack of whatever for like $5.99 and hoped that at least a couple of them worked. So, I mean, I hope more than a couple work. We will see, I suppose, when we get down to using them, but yeah, and you really do have to watch the reviews, because Russell and I have seen reviews for some stuff on Amazon where what they're talking about isn't even the same product, and we're like, what? And I also don't know who's tagging stuff on Amazon right now, but tags are not right. Like, category tagging stuff, because the, a lot of the art supplies that I've been putting on lists and favoriting and stuff, are tagged for kitchen. And I'm like, I don't think that's right. So, it's like, okay. Sure, I guess. I was very confused. I was like, how is this kitchen? I'm gonna need someone to explain this to me. This is clearly not a kitchen item. Although it is kind of funny. It must be AI doing it, because for a while I was doing MTurk through Amazon, which you know, like data entry mind-numbing bullshit. And sometimes there would be things that would pop up asking, you know, is this the right category? And then you'd like have to double check stuff. And then you'd get paid like a couple cents per question if the question was answered correctly. Haven't done it in a while, because it is pretty tedious. But like some of the ones, some of my favorites were asking if what was in the photo was in the text or whatever, and I was like, okay, cool. And those actually paid pretty well. Sometimes those were like 50 cents to $1 a question if it was answered correctly. But you couldn't just, you know, fuck around, because if you answered too many wrong, they would ban you from doing that project again. I hated doing the receipts. Like, I guess there were some kind of rewards programs where people could scan their receipts or take a photo of their receipts, and then they would get like money back on stuff, and they had you typing out what was pictured in the receipt, but you had to go line for line, and what you typed out, your dollar amount had to reach theirs. So because there was like lines for coupons and discounts and things, and you had to get it right. Some of those were a nightmare. just because of how different stores did their receipt setups. And if you did it too fast, they would purposely slow you down. They wanted to make sure that it was a person doing it and not a bot doing it. So sometimes they would lock you out from getting the next one for a certain number of seconds if they thought you were going too fast. So I'm just kind of toning down our green stripes there a little bit. So we think we might be able to fix the sink now without replacing it. But we're not sure. Russell still has to go to the hardware store and see if what he pulled out is in fact what we need to replace. We're not sure. Alright, so it's a little time consuming, but we're not doing too bad here. Well, it doesn't look too bad. Because Amazon doesn't have enough money to pay for going too fast. Yeah. And like, if you started doing them too fast, it would start asking you, are you a bot? And then you had to like do a captcha, or the fuck it was, how the fuck you pronounce it, to prove that you're a person. I'm like, there was 3 items on that receipt. It's not like it's supposed to take me like 20 minutes. But I never really made a lot of money doing it. With dedicated effort, I made like $100 one time. I'd usually average about like 50. But it was pretty tedious. And then some of the ones, the company that wanted you to do it, because like Amazon was just kind of like the go-between sometimes. Sometimes it was stuff for Amazon and sometimes it was other companies. And some companies would make you take a mini test to see if you scored well enough doing that task to be able to actually do the full thing for them. See if you understood the task at hand. So like you would do like a mini test and then you'd send that in, and then it might be a couple of days before you got an email saying, okay, you're allowed to do these now. Or you've been granted access to do these now. or you didn't make the minimum correct answer requirement to do this. Sorry. Once in a while you'd get a survey. Sometimes those surveys were worth like 50 cents to $1, depending on how involved they were. Otherwise, like, the tasks didn't pay much. Like, doing the receipt logging stuff, some of those receipts were like 6 cents per receipt, 7 cents per receipt. Or it was like a base price, and then for every, or maybe it was like 25 cents, and then for every 6 items on the receipt you got like another 10 to 12 cents if it was like a long receipt. It really depended on what it was and the company that was requesting it done. There was one that we used to do from time to time. I can't remember the name of it, but we had to like log into a certain version of Microsoft Office or Microsoft Windows or something to be able to access it. And I lost my password, and then they wouldn't let me reset it. And then I like couldn't do it, which kind of pissed me off because I was making a little bit of money. I was making more money on that one than I was the crowdsource. I don't remember what it was called. I was making more money on that than I was on Amazon. It was tedious, but you know, sometimes we needed a couple extra dollars. That's not so bad. That's kind of cute. Certainly colorful. Definitely spring vibes. Alright, so again, I'm gonna get rid of the buildup in the brush. Okay. Alright. So we got 4 more. I can't count. 4 more guys to go. Now, some of these are raised up and some of them aren't. So the raised up ones we have to be a little more careful on. just because we have this lip here. We have edges that we need to paint up here. As carefully as we can without making a huge mess. I was gonna wait to do that other real light yellow that we did around this guy until we did this part, but with the lightness of that yellow and its transparency, kind of is like, well, I guess it doesn't really matter. Because it's gonna not get covered up anyway. So we'll just have to be careful. So I'm hoping I can get at least an hour of editing done tonight around everything else I have to do, but that's probably a pipe dream because I have to do that rug, I have to make a brownie for tomorrow, make a pan of brownies, I guess, because I can't cook the brownie tomorrow. I mean, I could after dinner, but I don't want to, so I'm gonna try to do it tonight. I have a feeling it's gonna be a late night tonight. But that's okay. We don't have stream tomorrow. I do have to tell the notifications, I guess, to skip that. Or the schedule to dark that. That was a little carried away there. Just a little bit. Well, that's okay. Every slice isn't gonna look identical. Every segment, that would be weird. Okay, let's get a little bit more. I might have to clean that. So this is just our base color that I'm coming back in with. Just to kind of take the harshness out of those dark green lines if we can. I don't want to completely cover them. But yeah, so I gotta cook brownies tonight. Russell needs to go make the coleslaw for tomorrow at some point tonight.
What am I doing tomorrow?
You have to make the coleslaw today.
Oh, okay. Forgot. Yeah.
So it has time to sit. I'll grab this guy here. I've still got some of that. I know we used this color. But maybe just a slightly darker yellow in there would be helpful. And I think the turkey breast thawed. If not, it's not a big deal. There's always a little bit of ice still in there on the turkeys and stuff when we thaw them in the fridge, because our fridge is weird. That's not necessarily a bad thing though. Like if you put stuff in the back of the fridge, even on the top shelf, if it's all the way in the back, probably gonna be frozen. Like we've had bottles of water freeze back there and I'm like, I didn't think this was that low, but okay. Sure, fridge. At least we know it's keeping stuff cold, I guess. All right. That's not so bad. All right, we're getting closer. Now I know what I'm going to be doing later while I'm waiting for dinner to cook. Looking up fuzzy posters. Seeing what I can find. I think I had gotten that paint by number from, I think I may have actually got it from Amazon. But I don't see that one anywhere. It was a few years ago, so I guess that one's not being made anymore. Alright. So I don't know what color will make our perch. I guess we'll make it the same, like, actual lime color, I suppose. You did see some on Amazon? Or motorcycles. At least that one sounded like their radio wasn't blaring. These motorcycle radios are gonna end up getting me copyright struck one of these times. But like, it wasn't me! I can't help the traffic going by has got their fucking radios turned up so loud. I'm just dabbing a little bit of that extra paint off there. That's all that was about. All right. So, I mean, it's not gonna completely blend it out with how quick the dark green is drying, but I don't want it completely blended out. I do want some of it there, but putting this on top will help blend out any of it that is still wet. And it'll tone it down a little bit so it's not quite so dark. Color is this even? I think this is Sunshine. This is a straight color. This isn't mixed, this particular yellow. Alright. And I'll probably seal this guy up. I don't know what I want to seal him with. I don't know if I'm gonna, like, I'm not gonna do Mod Podge because he might be going outside. So I have to figure out if I want to do a brush on sealer or if I want to do a spray. I might do the brush on. Maybe. The brush on one I have can be a little stinky. But it might be easier maybe put some parchment down and paint that on and let section dry and then turn it, and just because this one's got so many different sides and stuff. And I'm not expecting anything to live in here if I do put it outside, because it's kind of small. So just be more or less decorative. this side in here. You can see there's lots of little sides and stuff here that we need to, oh, don't want to get that in the paint, but we need to make sure we get covered up. We're almost there. We're not going to seal it today. So I want to make sure that our paint has enough time to be good and dry. I think things recommend that the paint dries like 24 hours before you start trying to seal it. All right. Oh, that was way too thick. I did not want that line to be that thick. Oops. Oops, the doodles. All right then. Well, it's that thick now. So let's see if we can lighten that up just a bit. Got a little too heavy-handed there. It happens. It's one of the good things about acrylic paint and craft paint. If something didn't come out the way you wanted it to, you can just paint on over it. I swear I'm smelling food all of a sudden. And I don't know what it is. And I don't know why I'm smelling food all of a sudden. But I think that's absolutely wild. Well, that wasn't supposed to be like that, but actually it might be the Italian place. Kind of smells like meatballs. Or something, which is weird. Now I have new phantom smells that I'll be smelling. Feel like, am I actually smelling this? Like, what is happening? Alright, we got our last little segment guy here on this one. So I got a little carried away with our Christmas screen there, but that's okay. Like putting it out on the palette. But it's okay. This paint wasn't that expensive. Like, I hate wasting paint. That's why I can't do the paint pouring. Like, I love the way it looks. And some people can create some really beautiful things with the paint pouring, and they can get really creative, but and I know some of them will put like parchment down, and some people will like make bits of jewelry or find something else to do with the bits of paint that have dripped down that didn't get used on the canvas. But it makes me cringe so hard when I see so much of it just go sliding right off the canvases, and I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, that was so expensive that you just schlepped right off of the edge there. Because the pouring medium is not cheap. Maybe I'm just a cheap bastard, but pouring medium is kind of expensive. Like for a big jug of it, it's like $30. Unless I'm misunderstanding how much they use, but just seeing that much paint go sliding off. I tried to do it once, and except I didn't use the flow medium, I used a different version. Like a different recipe for it, and the amount that just dripped off, I'm like, I know it's cheap craft paint, but oh my god, such anxiety about all the paint that I was wasting. I was like, oh my god. Yeah, they can afford to waste it, but I'm like, oh no, no, that's not it for here. Like, that's not happening. And then, like, the cheaper recipes, I've never, like, with the more accessible materials and stuff, I've never been able to get it. The couple times I tried to look anywhere near what other people did, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm obviously doing something wrong, and I don't really have the disposable materials right now to fuck around and find out. So what we're not gonna do is that for some time. I feel that way about paper, which is really a conundrum when it comes to it. Yeah. It's like, you've got to use something, and... So, am I the only one that sees people that do, like, sketchbook tours on YouTube and get kind of... Or even, I guess, on Instagram sometimes. And you're just kind of confused because these are, like, finished print-worthy pieces that they're showing out of their sketchbooks, and they're beautiful, but I'm just confused because usually sketchbook is more for fucking around and trying to like flesh out ideas to me. Like, these have to be like specific, like, showpiece sketchbooks. I want to see their real sketchbooks. I want to see the messy ones. I want to see the projects that didn't work out. I want to see the failed pieces to just, you know, to know that, you know, there are bad projects. There are stuff that doesn't quite come to be. Like, I mean, the pieces they're showing are beautiful, but to me, that's not a real sketchbook tour. That's a curated display of stuff that you only want people to see. I want to see the bullshit. I want to know that I'm not the only one that has just doodle moments where what you're doodling doesn't really make sense, or, you know, like, I want to see the gritty. Don't lie to me. I want to see the bad pieces. I want to see the stuff that maybe you're a little embarrassed about showing, but, you know, hey, it's part of it. I was just fucking around. This wasn't meant to really be anything. Like, I want to see the works in progress. I want to see the thought processes. It just bugs me to no end when I see so many sketchbook tours and every single thing in there is just perfect. And I'm like, no. I'm like, that's, yeah, it's great. And I'm not begrudging that they did a good job, but that's not what I'm looking for. I want to see the bad stuff. To know that they're fucking humans. You know, it's like, oh yeah, that one didn't quite work out so well. I couldn't really get that one to translate out. I tried. You know, I want to see some of the failures, and I think we should see each other's failures. Because it's okay to have a project not work out. Maybe that project just wasn't ready to happen yet. Maybe you need some more time to sit with the idea or whatever. Like, I want to see the things. Because I know we shouldn't, like, compare each other. Because people are at different stages of their journey and different mediums and stuff. But, you know, it makes me feel better knowing that, oh, okay, I'm not quite such a schlub. And some of these people have had way more fails than wins. And that's okay to have that. I want to see it. For real, it's like an exhibition in a book. Like, yeah. Like, come on now. I want to see how many times you tried to paint this in your working book. In the books that don't see the lights of day. Light of day. Like, because you know there's gotta be. Like, every single item is, like, print-worthy in this book. Like, what? How? Okay, and there's our limey birdhouse. Didn't come out too bad. Kind of cute. Pretty happy with how that came out. Yeah, there's just a different form of influencer, so it has to seem perfect all the time. Yeah, and like I want to see the fuck ups. I do. It's part of the process. Like, not everything is all, you know, perfect and pretty. And sorry, the other, just a little too yellow there for me. I noticed it, so therefore I definitely have to fix it. Okay, that's better. But yeah, that didn't come out so bad, considering I was just kind of, you know, winging it. The first time I've painted any kind of citrus slice. Bless you. Bless you.
My turn.
I mean, we could shut the window, but or turn the fan off so it's not blasting the pollen in. But alright, so it's just all too refined for a sketchbook, and that's okay. Yeah, don't call it a sketchbook. Like, I'm looking at some of these, and like everything is there's no like messy doodles, there's no scribbly thumbnails where you're trying to work through an idea. Like, huh? There's no, like, idea, concept, brainstorming happening, and it's like, that's, to me, that's really what your sketchbook is for. These are finished pieces in a book, not... Okay, can I fit you? Let me move you. Alright. Yeah, we'll put you there. Alright, this guy. Not sure how I want to paint this guy. I've got a couple of options here. I'm thinking two-tone. See them too, and they pop up your feet here. Yeah, it's like, it just irks me. Because I'm like, yeah, it's great and all, but, you know, I wouldn't necessarily call this a sketchbook. I would call this, you know, stuff that you might end up scanning and photoshopping to fix any creases or seams in the page, if it's a 2-page layout, to do it for prints. Like, it feels too finished, you know? So I don't know what to paint this guy. Thinking something two-tone, but I don't know where the two-tone should be. Should, like, we do the door like gray or silver? I think I want the body to be turquoise. You know, I think I'm gonna have to bust out a different palette here. Where can I put you where you're not gonna be disastrously in the way? I'll put you over there. Alright, let me see here. This'll do. We had some plastic containers that the containers ended up cracking or whatever, and we threw away, and we had a whole bunch of extra lids, so it works. It's cleanable. It'll do the job. Now, this one might be a little too big. Let's see. What do we want here? It'll do. Yeah, you're a little bit smaller. Okay. So, I mean, these make pretty good palettes if you can afford an actual palette. I mean, I've seen some people just, like, put plastic wrap around pieces of cardboard, too. Which isn't a bad idea, because then you can just peel the plastic wrap off and throw it away. And you're not sitting there scrubbing a palette. Now this one's not going to go outside. We'll still probably seal it though. But this one's going to stay inside. And this is like a light turquoisey color. trying to get the inside of our windows here. So this isn't going to be the same exact colors as the one on the away card or the offline card, but that's okay. Doesn't have to be the exact same. And in fact, we can either use some of our flamingo stickers or we'll paint a flamingo sticker on this, or paint a flamingo on this guy. I'll probably try to paint one. Now, I don't know if we're going to finish this guy today. We'll probably have to finish him up next week. But we'll see how far we get. We still have like an hour. Our lime took a bit longer than I anticipated, but that's okay. So the insides aren't, like the inside of the windows aren't sanded that smooth. I could have tried to do something with that, but I just didn't. I wasn't feeling that level of picky. Alright. That kind of worked into there. It's not a bad color. Kind of feels like retro-y. Alright. So I don't know. Oh, I don't know what color we're. Damn it. That door is not going to be that color. I might have to paint it that color just so that when the color that comes over top of it is a little bit more even. Doesn't look weird. That's not the color it's going to be. Alright. So this guy's got some areas that we have to be a little bit careful around. Alright, so that's gonna be like a different color on that section. Alright. So I might need to go and grab that smaller brush that we were just using. Just to get those tight spaces. And we're getting decent mileage. out of this paint. But it also helps that we primed this guy last night. If we hadn't, it would be a different story. Have to do a lot more layers of paint. Ha! Now for this one, I'm going to be using our craft paints here, which is what this color is. But I also have an Arteza tube of paint that I'm going to use for some of it, because they make a really nice metallic. So we're going to get some silver on up in here. Hopefully I've got enough of it. Doesn't it sound like somebody shooting? Like pop, pop.
Yeah, it's the neighbor hammering something, I think.
Oh, he's just hammering.
I can't see him, but that's what I think it is.
Oh, okay. It's just an odd tempo for a hammer. I know somebody has an outdoor range somewhere near here. I know there were times back home where, depending on how the sound was traveling, you could hear people at one of the outdoor gun ranges practicing, like the range that all the cops would go to and stuff. Depending on which way the wind was blowing, there were times where you could hear it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get the inside of those vents painted very well, but we'll try. We'll do what we can. Okay. So this one is drying a little splotchy. And that's okay. Just means we need to pop on another layer. It happens sometimes. Maybe splotchy is not the right word. Streaky in some spots. Let's go with streaky. Okay. So we'll hit this guy. So this guy is technically called light turquoise. It just kind of felt like one of those 50s colors that would be a good fit here. don't know if I just want to leave the door white or if we're going to make the door gray. We might make the door gray. Is what I'm thinking. Now, I might put a base coat on the door of this color. I hear doggy feet.
Hi, Puppet.
Do I need to get them?
No, just give me a minute.
Okay. I was gonna say, if I gotta get them, I gotta get them, but
Just give me a minute. Hi.
I just need to know.
Hi, buddy.
Okay, which doggy is it?
It's Suzu. Hi. What's up?
He's like, Grammy went outside.
Probably.
We have our dirt in our planter boxes. So we can plant all of the things and
You know,
watch
when
them
it stops freezing out of nowhere.
and watch them not grow.
They'll probably grow this time.
I hope so.
Yeah. We can do potting soil. That'll help. Again, didn't we accidentally plant before freezes ended last time?
I don't know. Like, we had decent success with the stupid, of all things, the stupid seeds from Dollar Tree that were $1 when Dollar Tree was still selling stuff for $1.
Geez, bitter enough?
But, nothing else we've really had success with growing, which is kind of weird. Seriously, with the freezing out of nowhere. I'm looking at 5 inches of snow. Ugh, no! No! Get the hell out of here with that. No, thank you. That's probably the weather system we're getting on Monday. No, 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 no. Like, we've had a couple of 80-degree days already. Well, that's not normal. Fuck that shit. We're supposed to get a chance of severe storms on Monday into Monday night. We'll see what happens with that. Sometimes when they start talking it up ahead of time, we don't always get it. And I'm okay with not getting it. I just get, like, pissy when they start, like, hyping it up. Like, oh, it's gonna be a severe impact day, and then it, like, thunders twice, and that's it. I'm kind of like, what? What was that, guys? But, we'll see. I'm gonna do a base color of this on the door, just because I got some on there already, just so that the door color's even and doesn't have weird miscolored dots under it. Still not sure if I want to do this gray or if it should be white. I just don't know. Like, part of me wants to do it white, but at the same time, I think I'd kind of like to see it like a gray. I'm not going to do this part in the metallic second. This is just so that our door color's the right color. It's 55 right now. We're close to it. Our temperature at this very moment is close to 69 right now and cloudy. It's very cloudy. I slept later than I expected. I woke up at 8 because I was so stuffy I could hardly breathe. Tried to blow my nose and I fell back asleep and woke up and it was 10:30 and I was like, oh shit. Like, I was hoping to be up a little bit sooner than that, but brain was like, no, you're gonna sleep. So sleep we did, I guess. But I don't know what our temperatures are looking like. We might be done with the freezing nonsense, but maybe not, because apparently in this area you're not supposed to plant yet. Because apparently there's even been a few times in May when it snowed, and I'm like, oh no, I'm not waiting until May. This shit'll never grow. Probably towards the end of April, beginning of May, we'll start to get the elephant ears in the ground. And maybe towards the middle of May, we'll start to plant the other stuff. Got like a heather. That's very light though. Let's see what this looks like. Yeah, like I'm like, what do you mean it snowed here in May before? What the fuck is that shit? So it's like a white gray. And it almost feels like there's a tinge of pink in here. To be perfectly honest. Well, we'll see. What this looks like. If it doesn't look quite right, then we can paint over it with our white. Oh shit, was that supposed to be green in there? In our wheel well area. I don't know what color. I might make that like a really dark gray. Maybe. But yeah, I'm like sick of this shit. I want to get my flowers planted. We've been having irises pop up, or the daffodils have come up, tulips have come up. The plants are all sorts of confused. But I want to get my elephant ears in the ground. But it's still a bit cold for them at night. So that's a slight issue. So I'm starting to elongate my walk time, or my walk distance, therefore my walk time is starting to take a little bit more. So today I did 1.65 miles. My goal this week is to get to 1.75 this coming week. To do 1.75 miles. And I'm probably going to try to do maybe 2 weeks consistent of that shit before I try to bump up to 2 miles. So we'll see. I'm slowly trying to increase the distance, but it takes me about you get out of there, Mr. Fuzz. It takes me about 35 minutes at the speed that I'm walking at on the treadmill to do 1.5 miles. So we'll see. I might have to purposely start getting up earlier. So that I have time to get that all in. I don't know, maybe we will do this in the silver. Maybe it should be the silver if I have enough of it. That dried a hell of a lot darker than I thought it was gonna. I was not expecting it to dry that color. Huh. So we'll see what happens with that. Like, I'm trying not to overdo it and throw my back out. I was trying to like baby jog, like somewhere between a jog and a walk yesterday for just a few seconds, like 30 seconds or so, just seeing how it was gonna go. And my knee almost went out underneath of me. When I went to slow down, I was like, oh shit, right. I was like, maybe we'll just stick to walking. My legs were like, what the fuck are you doing, lady? We didn't sign up for this. So here's a funny story. Well, kind of funny. We have some kind of bird that likes to hang out somewhere outside of our house, like in the tree next to our driveway or something. And it'll start to sing just in just a certain way that I can't tell if Momo's like whining at me to get my attention or if it's this bird. And I'm like, what is happening? Like, what? And like the one day I was getting really mad at him. I'm like, what is your problem? What do you want? And he just laid there and looked at me like, what? Like I was the stupid one, and I'm like, what is your deal? And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about, lady. And I felt so bad because I didn't realize it was coming from outside at first. I was like, oh, sorry, buddy. Oh, so here's a funny story. Well, a disastrously funny story. At one point, when I was in high school, the place that we were renting, the landlord decided to put it up for sale. And we had to start looking for a new place to go. And my dad was mad that the guy wasn't gonna let us buy it and use all the rent that we had paid up until that point, like, towards a mortgage payment. And I'm like, why are you mad about that? Or, like, towards buying it. Like, you can't be mad about that. That wasn't part of the rental agreement. Like, what? So, I don't know what color I want this to be in here. What color do you want this to be? Do you want this to be gray? So I feel like a lot of this is going to end up being like silver. We might do that section in gray. Like the underside is definitely going to be gray. So we had moved in. My grandmother said that we could move into her house because it was just her alone in there. Well, as we were moving in, she was like having a panic attack about the amount of stuff we had. And I'm like, we have a whole house full of stuff. Plus, we had gotten rid of a bunch of stuff. And my mom and dad had painted the room in the basement that they were going to use as theirs, because there was only 2 rooms upstairs and 1 room downstairs. And their room was finished, but like the rest of the basement wasn't really. And so there was this weird ass green paint on the walls in there. And was it green? It was something. It was like a weird light green, I think. And my mom wanted to paint it. And I can't remember what color they painted it. I think they were trying to paint it like a slightly darker shade of green. That paint must have been there from when they originally bought the house. Just a guess. 'Cause, they didn't prime the wall before slapping the other coat of green on there. And I don't know what happened, but the wall turned a metallic silver. No joke. And I'm like, what did you guys do? They're like, we don't know. It just started drying like that. It was wild. So I guess it was some sort of chemical reaction between the old paint and the new paint. Like, it wasn't just turning gray. It turned silver. And I'm like metallic silver. And that was not what they had painted the walls with. And I'm just like, maybe they tried to paint it a tan or something. I don't know. Whatever it was. I was like, I don't think that's supposed to do that. Like, I think there's a problem here. I have no idea what was in that paint that went on the wall. Don't know if it was an old lead-based paint. It might have been. Depending, you know, 'cause that house was pretty old. And I think they were possibly the only owners, or if not the only owners, then pretty close to it. But yeah, that was interesting. No idea what that was about. But my family got all kinds of manual labor out of me over the summer. Many summers. Painting shed at my grandmother's house, helping her restain the fence. She had this 6-foot tall wood fence. She called it a stockade fence. I don't know if that's actually what it's called or if that's just what she called it. Wood fence that went around her property. She had a double-sized lot. The fence went around the one lot. Like, it touched the one side of the house and came back around the back of the property to where the garage was, and then there was another section of it that went between the back of the other side of the house to like the other front side of the garage. Like, it went and like halfway down her driveway, and then the rest of it was chain link, so it was kind of like a double fenced lot. You remember painting your bedroom one summer gray with black borders? It was so itchy. I wouldn't have been allowed to paint my room those colors. I'd have been yelled at. Like, no, we're not buying that. You're not painting your room that color. Well, we rented half the time anyway, so I couldn't really paint the walls anyhow. As it was, I got yelled at if I put too many thumbtack holes in the wall. So I had to help paint parts of that, front and back. We couldn't get the one side, though, because it was bordered somebody else's property. So the sections where we could get to the front and back had to be done. Like... Of course, like 20 minutes into it, I'm like, I'm over this. I don't want to do this no more. Because it was by hand with brushes. Weren't even using a roller, which would have made it go a little bit faster. No. Had like a 2-inch brush and a bucket of like paint stain. I don't even think it was really paint. I think it was stain. And of course I had to have old clothes on and an old coat because I wore half of it. You would totally paint your room black and add a fuck ton of stars with the glow-in-the-dark paint.
I absolutely would. If I thought we could feasibly do it, I would.
I mean, we might be better off just buying the plastic stars and attaching them. Because sometimes the glow-in-the-dark paint only reactivates with black light.
Sometimes. Well, that's why you do the research on the paint first.
Yeah. Is that just...
Well, I suppose our ceiling's high enough, you probably could do the stars.
The stars would be a lot less neck pain. Like the pre-made ones. Just stick the fun tack on it. I had the plastic stars One of them didn't want to come off though, and I was like having a panic attack. So I was like, oh my god, I'm in so much trouble. Like that fun tack stuck, and I was like, problem. I don't know what, see, this I'm gonna make the silver color, right? Oh, well, this piece is probably gonna be black. This I was thinking silver. Maybe this should be, maybe the whole thing should be black. And then this, like the gray silver. Alright, so let me rinse that. If we didn't have the tile ceiling in here, I would be more okay with doing that. But we have these weird, like, tiles on our ceiling.
Hmm?
I said, if our ceiling didn't have the tiles, I'd be more willing to do it.
Eh. Not like whoever gets this place next, they can replace the whole damn thing anyhow.
Okay. So I'm gonna grab our gray here. We're working on the bottom. Oh yeah, we're not gonna finish this guy today. And that's okay. We will totally finish him up next week. Still kind of happy with how the other birdhouse came out. So this is actually drying a lot darker, this gray, a lot darker than I thought it would. So that's okay though. That's not a bad thing. 'Cause I was a little hesitant to use this shade because I was like, I don't know, it's kind of light. You had that. I had that tile ceiling. We'd stick them on the metal parts. It's not a drop ceiling, but it's these weird like adhesive tiles that they stuck to the ceiling. Not like a drop ceiling where the metal bars and the tiles would rest on them. It's just stuck to the ceiling. Like, this house is such a fucking shit show. They've got textured popcorn ceiling in the kitchen. The kitchen? You know, over where you're, like, prepping food and shit. Over the stove. And it's in the dining room too, I think. Why somebody felt compelled to put popcorn ceiling over places that you would be eating is beyond me. We have had random bits of the ceiling just fall off, like little tiny popcorny bits. I'm like, who said this was a good idea over food? And that shit's a pain in the ass to get off. It's such a mess. This stuff is so damn common. You're looking at it now. It's just, like, I know, I think in the 80s or whatever, the popcorn ceiling was, like, all the rage, but it's such a pain in the ass to deal with. So that's, like, what the ceiling is in the kitchen and in the dining room. The ceiling in our room and my mom's room is this weird tile stuff that was, like, adhered to not even drywall, just like the wood of the attic floor ceiling separation. There's no separation between them. And they started coming off in my mom's room, and then we couldn't even find the same tiles to replace with. So we had to get something similar because we couldn't remove it all. So then the ones that would not come off, even though they were half hanging off of the ceiling, we, like, tacked up in a couple of places, and we were trying to cut other adhesive tiles to fit in around it, and because we didn't really have the money to do it fully right, and we were just trying to put a temporary fix up to eventually go back and refix later down the road, you know. But it's just, it's a mess. And then the sticky tiles in our room aren't falling down for whatever reason. They're so easy to damage, though. They're kind of like that weird, they're kind of like weird styrofoam cups where if you look at it wrong, you can make an indent on them. That probably doesn't make sense, but like the ones that you can, like, bite into the edges on, like the old coffee cups. Because we had a stick that we would tap the ceiling with when we had the mice problem. If the mice were being too loud, just to try to get them to stop for a while. If they were running around too much. And that was, like, putting marks on the tiles. And I'm like, fucking really? The ceiling in the hallway, I think, is actually plaster or drywall. No, I think it's plaster. And I don't remember what ceiling's in his mom's room. It might be popcorn. Maybe. There's some kind of weird adhesive tile on the ceiling in our laundry room, too. It's so strange. Oh, I don't have much black in this bottle. That's interesting. Is there even any paint left in here? It's glompy. Oh, let's see what we can do with that. Yeah, it's a mess. So if we try to remove it, we're gonna definitely have our work cut out for us. Alright, so I'm gonna paint this black because I kind of feel like it would be. Try not to be too sloppy under here. Got a little bit of the gray that was still wet in there. That's alright. So it'll be okay. I know this was kind of had some clumps come out of it on this color in the bottle, but there's still some usable paint around the clumps, so I'm gonna use what I can. And then we'll go from there. Pretty sure I've got more black paint in there somewhere. Alright. Don't know if I'm gonna do a second coat on the bottom. I don't know if we really need to. We'll see. I might say no, I'm not going to, and then by next week I might be like, yeah. So, getting this painted up in here. Now, normally I would probably paint the bottom like black or silver, but I don't have that much of our silver. Or at least I don't know how far it's gonna go. So I'm trying to be a little bit conservative with it. I also don't want the whole thing to be metallic, that would be weird. Or at least for me it would be weird. I mean, I know there are some full-on silver trailers like the Airstreams and stuff, but it's not what I was going for on this guy. I like the colors for it. Yeah, I mean, so far it's working. Okay. I had to look at that because it was so light. I wasn't sure if I had remembered to paint that section that quick. I mean, even though it is a light gray and it is drying darker than I expected it to, it's still a lighter gray. Alright, so we'll get this filled in here. And I think our tires are gonna be black as well, with like maybe a white center, perhaps. Okay. So I think I'm gonna change my mind and paint this guy black. So now that I'm looking at it, I think this would be a bit better because it is like one of the stands supporty guys under there. Those are usually like a black color nowadays. I mean, I'm sure there's probably some that are silver or like a gray color, but I think I want the contrast here. One good thing about these birdhouses being wood that it's helping our paint dry a little bit faster, because even with the primer on, it's still soaking in a little bit. Alright, so this piece is a little bit rough here, so it's gonna take a little bit more paint to get in all those little crevices. Leisure across the street has an old school RV in the yard right now. Very nice, maybe from 70s or early 80s. Yeah, we've seen a few. We looked at maybe getting one as a temporary solution for when we sell this place, to try to find someplace else to go. Don't know if we're still gonna do that. They're so expensive. It might not be worth it. We might just or expensive for us, I should say. We might just car camp, because we'd have to get a different car. So we'll see. I've looked at a few. Some of them are kind of cute. I've also looked at some tiny house options. But some areas, they're not exactly allowed. because of building codes and stuff, at least at the moment. But if we can find one in an area that we're both agreeable to, or things are cool and it's in the budget, that's also an option. Getting the edge of our tires here. Just kind of turning it. It's just easier. Didn't do the back of the tires yet, which I should probably do. So this guy's probably not going to be 100% perfect, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be completely. Alright, I at least want to get this wheel finished since I dumped this black paint out. There we go. We can touch the wheel that hasn't been painted yet. In order to rotate it so we don't have to get paint all over our hands, although I've got a good amount of green paint all over me. It's not a painting stream unless I get something on me, right? Like, we gotta be covered in paint somehow, some way, shape, or form. Right, we gotta make a mess. Or else it's not really a painting stream, now is it? Okay. A little bit there. Oh, we missed quite a bit on our tire edges here. Well, the downsides of it not being sanded completely smooth. But that's not so bad. Okay. So we're off to a decent start on this guy. We'll finish him up next week. Because he's going to be a little bit more detailed than the lime was. So we still have to do some trim and whatnot. And the silver paint, just get my brush rinsed out here. Silver paint dries pretty quick on the palette, so we still have to get to that. Just trying to get all of the... That still needs... Oh, no, come back. That still needs another round of rinsing. So, well, we've I've got a fair amount. So that guy's like a pretty shiny silver. It's hard to tell there. But the Arteza does make a nice metallic. Like, it's much better than some of the craft painty metallics. So we'll be using, like, it's not real glittery, but it is metallic-y. So I'm thinking the roof is going to be the silver color. This post here, well, I don't know. We might do the post black and we might do this part silver. This thing's going to be silver. Still not sure about what color the door is going to be. I could see what the door looks like silver if we have enough of it. So, which we probably will. So we'll finish that guy up next week. Or I might change my mind and make the door white. That's also possible. I might change it up and go back to white and white on this. I don't know. This might stay silver though. Maybe we'll do silver on the door just to give it more of that like retro-y feel. And this guy, I'm really happy with how this came out. Came out better than I was expecting it to. So. Oh, and I'm getting paint everywhere. That's alright. We have to wipe down the table anyway. So, yeah, not too bad. Tomorrow we'll not be doing a stream because I have to cook. Monday we'll be back to working on our needle felts for Bob Ross. We'll be working on our trees, I think, tomorrow. Our background trees. Tomorrow. Oh my god. Brain, stop it. Monday. No stream tomorrow. Monday. Is when we will do that. So if I said tomorrow at all, it's really Monday. We're not doing a stream tomorrow. I'm so used to streaming on Sunday. So I will see you guys all on Monday. I hope everybody has a good Easter. If I don't see you on Monday, and if you don't celebrate, I hope you have a good Sunday. So I'll see you later. Thanks for hanging out with me this afternoon. Don't forget to follow the socially do's down below. And have a good one.